Hi everyone, it's Kris from my girlfriend's quilt shop, and I am so delighted to be able to share with you another special designer series box that we have going with Riley Blake Designs and their incredible designers all this year here at my girlfriend's quilt shop. And today's box is a specialty box because it is not part of our regular series of boxes. Rather, this has to do with just Christmas. Gotta love that, right?
Yes.
So fun. And I'm so happy to be able to have Jill Finley with us. And Jill, thank you so much for being here. Oh my goodness, this is so fun. Now, Jill has been in the quilting industry for many years.
A long time.
Right? How long have you been doing quilting?
Oh.
Your whole life, perhaps?
No, but at least 30 years.
At least 30 years, okay.
Yeah.
And then,
I had to raise all those kids.
Oh, yes, that's right. And then designing
I've been designing fabric for, over 20 years, but I've been with Riley Blake for about seven to 8 years.
All right.
So, yeah.
And your company name is Jillily Studios.
Jillily Studio.
And where did that come from? Oh, studio.
Only one studio.
Okay. Not multiples.
No, not
okay,
multiples.
Good to know. And then where did the name come from? Obviously your first name, but...
Yeah, but I wanted something that had my name in it, but not really just my name.
Yeah.
And my dad used to call me that when I was little.
Oh, I love that.
And nobody remembers it in my family except for me.
Oh.
My sisters are all like, where'd that come from? I'm like, what?
Daddy didn't that. I love that. He would be so proud.
Yeah.
To now know that this is, what you do.
Yeah.
And I think it's great.
It's fun.
And tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, it's crazy. I have 7 kids.
Okay.
And,
wow.
6 of them are married. One of them still lives at home with us. He's handicapped.
Yes.
Our little Jojo is, he's a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But he's an adult.
Yes.
So he's delightful. He's nonverbal and he takes everything apart. So I have to be sewing all the time so that he doesn't take my sewing machine apart.
Right. That's right.
But anyway, I have 16 grandchildren. I just got a new one last week.
Congratulations.
New little baby Ivy. She's so darling. And the girls are starting to catch up with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
We have 11 boys. And we only had 2 girls, and then the last 4 or 5 have been girls. So we're catching up.
Oh, that's so fun. I bet you are making lots of quilts for them all the time for your family.
We love it.
That's wonderful. Well, they're very lucky to be able to have those things passed down in the family. Yeah. I think that's great. So you've been designing for about 20 years. What would you say is, what inspires you when you go to design a quilt?
I think just my life, my regular life. I pull from that, especially in designing fabric. I always pull from what I'm currently doing. Mm-hmm. So if I'm out, working in the garden, I'll have a garden collection. Yeah. The new collection that's coming out in October, or is it November, is all about baking. It's got florals. All of my collections have florals, but then there's always a little theme kind of behind it.
So in today's box, this is a fabric collection that's not your own.
Right.
However, they asked you to be the designer of this darling quilt. Tell us about the fabric collection.
Riley Blake called me and said, Jill, we need a Christmas quilt designed, and can you use one of our Christmas collections? And I'm sure I don't have a current Christmas collection out. So they gave me this collection to work with and said,
go at it.
And they gave me the parameters. They said, okay, well, I need 12 fat quarters. So I picked whatever I could use that would work for this, and that's what you put in your cute little box.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this cute little box. This is called the Fat Quarterly Friends Box. This comes out each quarter, and in it are fat quarters, like you mentioned. So, but before we do that, let's take a look. Here's the pattern. I love this. What was your inspiration behind Snow Street?
Well, you know what a year we've had. Last winter was so snowy here in Utah. Yeah, I was in the middle of snow when I designed that.
Well, I think it's perfect. And Snow Street is absolutely adorable. I love the reds and greens. And this is a fabric collection from
It's Lori Whitlock.
Okay.
Designed the fabric.
Okay.
And the collection is called The Magic of Christmas.
All right. So we have a little bio on Jill, so you can read more about her, and we want to have you go follow her at Jillily Studio, right?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. That'd be great.
And is it just Jillily Studio? One. No,
it's
S's.
hard to spell. Jillily.
Okay. Okay. To know. And look at these darling fat quarters that are in here.
That's really a cute collection.
It is. I mean, you can't go wrong with buffalo check, right?
Right.
And then, of course, the candy canes, the snowflakes. I love anytime there's a bias stripe.
Oh,
My favorite.
so great to use. Easy to use, right?
Definitely. So we'll put that over there. And I love the holly berries. It definitely screams Christmas.
Definitely.
For sure. So just as a reminder that in your box come the 12 fat quarters, that will only make a portion of the quilt. And we'll talk here in just a minute a little bit more about how do you get the finishing kit and the backing. But before we do that, we also have another fun little surprise in this box. Tell us about this, Jill.
So these are my polka dots. That's one of my products. I have a collection, a line of notions. And these are a little sticky thimble. In fact, I've got one right here that you just stick on your finger so that when you're pushing your needle,
so smart,
you don't get that hole in your finger.
It's
so
so
you
smart.
poke the dot instead of poking yourself.
There you go.
And they have a nice little texture on them so that you have good needle control and it's not going to poke through.
All right.
So you can, I just take mine off when I'm not using it, stick it on my watch, stick it back on the tin anywhere you want to because they're reusable. So I can stick it back on several times. And I use it when I'm doing any handwork. So binding, applique, or, anytime I'm hand piecing.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So those are called polka dots.
Polka dots.
And they're the sticky thimbles, and that is also included in your box. So as I mentioned, there are 12 fat quarters in the box, which make the partial quilt. If this is a quilt that you just can't wait to make, then I have great news for you because we're also offering a finishing kit, which is the fabric that is needed for the borders. And your background, right? That beautiful snowflake background, as well as your binding.
Right.
And then we also are offering a backing kit as well with this darling red snowflake. So super fun.
That's to back your quilt. Yep.
Yes. So not to be confused with background. This is backing.
Right. And that happens all the time, right?
Absolutely. All right. So if those are items that you would like to purchase, you can find them at mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com. So now that you know what's inside the box, let's take a closer look at this quilt, and we have step outs for you of how this is all put together. So I'm really excited. Jill, what are we starting with?
So the quilt is so fun. It's got this big snowflake in the center, and that's what we're going to start with.
Okay.
Then we'll move on to the houses and the street, part of the snow street. So to make this...
Okay, it looks a little intimidating.
So I do want to
pieces.
tell you... apologies because the pieces can be small in this one, and I didn't intend that. But I designed it on my computer screen. It looked just fine on the computer screen.
I actually think it's very charming.
It is really fun. But when I got sewing it, I'm like, oh, I did make little pieces, so I'm sorry. But there's an easy way to get around those little pieces, and that's by doing strip sets.
I kind of knew that would happen with you because Jill she is very proficient at piecing.
They did tell me, make it simple.
Make it simple.
No applique. I got the rules. I'm like, I can do that. And then I made this tiny little,
I know.
But it's darling. And you won't have any trouble doing it because I've done it with strip sets, which is an easy way to do small pieces.
Okay.
So we're going to take a strip of white, a strip of black, and a strip. These are 1.5 inches.
Okay.
And this strip is 2.5 inches. We'll sew those together into a strip set.
Okay.
And I'm going to have Kris do that.
Ooh, okay.
Sew those two together.
All right.
And you're just going to sew them together with a 1/4 inch seam along the long edge.
Okay.
All the way down.
Right. Let's do that. What you're telling me, Jill, is that we have the black, then we have the white, and then we're going to put on another black on the other side.
2.5 inch.
Okay.
And that's all in your instructions in your pattern.
Okay. All right, we can do that.
And so on the long edge.
And on the long edge. All right.
Okay, and then you would take that, Kris, and press it, and press your seams toward the black. And I've already got one done here.
Okay.
So here's a strip set, and this has the seams already pressed to the black so that they don't shadow through on the white.
Good point.
So this is only a half of a strip set. We would have the full thing, but just so that you can see it, and it's on our cutting mat.
Okay.
And then I just want to show you in the pattern, it shows you this is the strip set. This is what we've got. The 1.5 inch and the 1.5 inch of white, and then the 2.5 inch of black.
Okay.
And we're going to slice this into slices.
Okay.
And the pattern tells us to make segments that are, we need 24 of them that are 1.5 inches.
All right.
So I'm going to get my little rotary cutter here.
Perfect.
My cute little girlfriend's rotary cutter. And to start with, I'm going to...
And my guess is we want to start with a clean
I'm going to cut
piece,
that off.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
perfect.
I normally don't look at me because I did that backwards.
Oh.
You wouldn't normally do that, right? Okay.
That's
so
okay.
then I'll take 1.5 inches on there, and I just want to make sure that I'm going, perpendicular to those sewn lines, and slice these off into 1.5 inch segments. And these are what we call segment A. Okay.
All right.
So we're going to make 24 of those.
Okay.
Got those ready. And then let's do the next strip set. And it's done the same way. And this is so that we can make segment B. And it is just a 1.5 inch strip of white and a 3.5 inch strip of black.
Okay.
And I'll show you that in the pattern. And we're going to do the same thing and cut segments that are 1.5 inches wide to get segment B. So let me slice this end off.
Okay.
I'll do it right this time. Okay, and then I'll turn it around and cut my segments 1.5 inches wide. Okay, we'll just cut a bunch of those, whatever the pattern says. I think it's 24, is that what it was? But it says right in the pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got B segments and A segments.
Okay.
And then we have one more.
I can see this coming together.
Yeah, can you see how easy it's going to be?
Definitely.
So I've got another strip set that I've made already. From this strip set, I'm going to cut some C's and a D and an E. So here we go. For C, in the pattern, it says that we're going to cut, C is 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to straighten up that edge like I should. And I'm going to be backwards again, so don't watch this part.
Okay. We're not watching.
Yeah. Upside down backwards, you shouldn't cut that way, right? So, and I will get notes. So there's C. So I would label those so that I remembered what they are.
Oh, good idea.
And then D is 4.5 inches, and this ruler not quite big enough.
No.
I've got one right here. We'll use this one. This one's 4.5. And we're going to cut, I think, just 4 of these. And then you need only one E. That's a D. Let's put D right there.
Okay.
And then only one E, which is 1.5.
Nice to have these little Post-it notes to help us remember, right?
Oh, that's handy.
Okay.
Okay. So now I've got my segments or my units all ready to put together to make a block. And I'm going to take these two that are A and B. This is a B. I'm going to put a B next to an A and another A and another B, and that creates that one block.
I see the snowflake forming.
Do you see it happening?
Yes.
Okay, so I have, let me put this
I love
little
it.
thing that I started right here up in this corner. We'll pretend that we sewed those together. So you would sew those together.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter which way you press those seams because they don't have to match up to anything.
Oh, true.
So I just press them all one way, but you can do whatever you like.
Okay.
And I've got the rest of them over here.
So we're going to be making a set of 4 of these?
You'll make 4 of this little unit. So we've got one in the corner and one there.
Look how easily that comes together.
Isn't that fun?
Yes.
I love using strip sets. It's just such a great way. And then there's the D segments that we cut from that other one, and those go in between. So let's move it over because that guy's not sewn together yet. He needs to be sewn together. And D's will go right here.
Wow.
And this is this little segment. And then in the middle, we have our E with a couple of a couple of somewhere right here.
Right here.
Yep.
Black.
Just black strips.
Wow.
Okay, so that is the center.
Was so much easier than I would have ever expected.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Instead of cutting all these little 1.5-inch pieces.
Exactly.
And trying to remember where they go.
Yes.
And then you'll put these together in rows. So you'll do
I love that.
This row, these 3 items together, and then these 3 items together.
Like a 9-patch.
It's just a big old 9-patch.
Uh-huh.
And then these 3 together.
Wow.
And then you've got the center section done.
So
Isn't that great?
is our center section.
Uh-huh.
So cute.
So
well
you do
done.
the same kind of thing to finish the rest of it. And of course, it's all in your pattern. This is showing this unit that we just did.
Sure.
And then you're going to use those A and B units again to make some of the rest of the outside of the snowflake.
Wow. Okay.
And so you just using strip sets.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
Yes, that is
fantastic. And it goes
fantastic.
together in segments. So you're going to put segment, center, segment. It's really an easy way to, break it down to come up with your snowflake.
It's so cute.
Right.
Huge fan. All right.
It's great that we don't have that actual snow right now.
Yes, that's right.
We just have a snowflake on our wall.
Exactly.
Now we're going to work on the houses. So when you get your snowflake done, you'll put your little inner border on. So that's the little stop border. And that's simple to sew on. Sew on the top and the bottom first.
Sure.
And then both sides.
Okay.
Okay. And then.
So we do that before we do the houses.
Yep.
All right.
And then the houses. And the houses are cut from the reds.
They're so cute.
You're just cutting a rectangle from the various reds.
Okay.
And it doesn't specify in the pattern which reds to use. So of the fat quarters that you've got, I just pulled out all the ones that were red to use as houses, but I wanted enough contrast between them so that you could see them. So I threw in, the little stripe that has the diagonal background so that it gives it somewhere for so that you can see the different houses.
Definitely.
And then I reserved the green fat quarters and the white background fat quarters for the prairie points around the edge. But you can do it any way you want. So you could do your houses out of greens versus reds, whatever you'd like. So I've got some red ones here.
Oh.
So this is, we're going to put corner triangles on these squares to make the roof line. And to add the little snow detail. And to do that, we'll start by marking the back of all of our white 1 7/8 inch squares. And you can mark these with a pencil. Or we've got I believe this is a disappearing marker, which is fine. So either way, just mark the center. And then I'm going to have Kris sew these. You'll place it on your rectangle of red or whatever your house is. And then you're going to sew on that line. So make sure that you don't place it this way because you don't want to sew into the center. You want to sew across the corner. Okay.
Yeah, I always like to audition my pieces too. I think to myself, if I'm sewing there, that means it's going to go back. Okay, I'm good.
I do that too to make sure it's going to the right place. So exactly, that's a great tip. So just make sure that your outside edges are matched up nicely and then stitch right on that line. And another little tip, I stitch just barely inside the line so that when you flip this open, it will completely cover that square.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So
just a titch. Yep.
So that one.
All right.
Okay,
so you can see right there. All right, and then I'm going to put on
I'm going to trim that first.
Okay.
So I want to trim this because if I were to add my second, these are bigger than normal. I would have a lot of extra fabric.
You would, definitely.
So I'm going to trim this just with some scissors.
Do you like to trim both layers?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Some people
do just the center, but I usually do both layers.
I do both because for one thing, I don't like it shadowing through.
Yes.
And we do have white, so it's nice.
Yeah,
and these are bigger than you would normally. Normally, your corner triangle is just little.
Yes, just go over a little bit. There's a lot more overlap here.
Yep.
Okay.
So she's going to sew the second one on.
So we see it right here. And Jill wants me to place it here.
So I'm going to
do that.
Across the corner.
Yes.
And it looks like it's wrong because you're really overlapping that other piece, but that's what we need to do. It's going to give you the snow on the roof.
All right.
And let's hope you don't have a...
All right. Ta-da!
There you go.
Yay, it's a cute little rooftop. All right. There we go.
Okay. She finger pressed that. Now you can trim these with a rotary cutter if you like. I don't mind just grabbing my scissors and snipping that off and then finger press that. And then, so that's the snow, and then we need background. So now I'm going to put the background on with the same method, a corner triangle, and just put it right on the corner, and then we'll audition that. It'll flip up like that, and that'll be the background, and you can see the snow that's on the roof.
Yeah.
So I have to mark all of my green squares too. And these green squares are 1.5 inches, and that's in your instructions. So we'll just draw our line there and place that with going across the corner once again.
Okay.
And I'll mark your next one while you're sewing that.
Perfect. There's that one.
I'm going to trim it first.
Oh, I keep forgetting. Yes, we definitely want to trim it first. Okay.
I like to trim it because we do have a lot of bulk there. Because we have those extra pieces of fabric under here. Yeah. So it's better to trim. And then this one, this is more normal, what you're used to doing when you do a corner triangle, where you overlap only a quarter of an inch. Bit. Yeah. Because that white one, don't be confused. It is bigger than normal.
All right. Good to remember. All right. There we go. Oh my goodness. That was so easy.
It's easy.
See, when I first looked at this block, I thought, oh, we're going to have to cut little strips and sew them on. But no.
Nope.
I'm going to go ahead and press
this. Don't be intimidated by my patterns because I usually come up with an easy way to make it look really hard.
All right. So I'm going to just give this a little press here. Okay. Oh, I love this. What a cute block, Jill.
So then we have one cute little house done.
And
you do the other houses the same way. This one is a little bit smaller. Okay. So by the time you add your corners that's the wrong size. By the time you add your corners of this, and then we'll audition this like you said. And then your green that you also adding on.
Yeah.
Then you can see that this house is a little bit
smaller.
A little bit smaller. So and this one is tiny. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
Oh, we got this, right?
Yeah.
My friends, we're good.
You can do anything small that you can do big. It just takes less time because
there you go.
You don't have to sew so far.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to place this on my tiny little. Do you want to sew up the tiny one? Let's sew. Oh, I better put a marker.
You know what?
On that.
I could even use. I have a little guide marker on my machine.
I do on mine too. That's why they weren't marked.
There we go.
Because I use the guide. So. She's going to use the guide to show her where the center line is on that square as she just sews down.
Always lots of ways to get the same results.
Right.
So it's nice to be able to show them all.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I use the marking on my machine as well. Yeah. But I always tell in the pattern for you to mark it just because not everyone has that on their machine.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll let you cut that. See, I'm learning, Jill.
We're a team.
I'm learning, cut the background first.
So when I'm doing a bunch of these, I will chain them through all at once. And you're probably familiar with that. Without stopping to cut, I continue to just sew all those little corners on the left side, and then I'll take them all to the cutting mat.
Good idea.
Cut them all off,
yeah,
and then press.
Just a great way to become more efficient.
Right. And it is good it's important that you press after the first corner triangle so that you don't have that seam line is out of the way.
Okay.
All right. Now let me say that you're going to think when you're doing this, oh, this is wrong. Because look how much fabric I'm covering up. It just seems like it's wrong. But don't worry, that's what gives us our little snow on the roof. So I'm going to trim this down. You can just eyeball that to about 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
And then we'll sew our background pieces on. And these are teeny tiny. But like I said, if you can sew a big piece, you can sew a little piece. Right. Even easier, right?
That's right. Now, Jill, do you ever shorten your stitch length when you go to sew little pieces?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I guess if they were teeny tiny, you could, but I haven't done that.
Okay.
You know, I've seen some of those just micro quilts like at the Houston show that
unbelievable, right?
You would have to for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because you'd only have room for 2 stitches
Right.
on some of those. So we're going to finger press this side open before we add the other little background square on the other corner.
Perfect.
Oh, these are getting done. We're getting our street done. Okay, look how cute that is. All right, and I have some others that I made earlier so you can see the different sizes. So this one is a little smaller, and then this is the tiniest one.
So are we doing then large, medium, small, large, medium, small? It repeats itself? Let's take a look.
It's not exactly
you
in order.
Have it going in different.
It's kind of random,
yeah.
but you can place them any way you want. Let me see. The pattern specifies. It calls them 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and then it goes 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3,
okay,
2, 1.
So we do need to pay attention to this.
Yeah,
right?
But it won't matter if you don't.
Okay,
you know,
really?
I mean, well, yeah, you can make your street any way you want, as long as you have that number of houses. Oh,
no, because they're
these two are the same width.
Right.
You just do the number of houses, and you could arrange them any way you want.
Okay.
But all 4 borders are the same.
Okay. Perfect.
So that you can arrange them any way you want. You can change up where the placement of the fabric is, but you need that correct size.
Okay.
And then on top of these, a piece of background is added. So to the large one, you add a 2.5-inch square, and to the medium one, you add a bigger. It's 2.5 by 3, and the small one, it's 3.5 by whatever this was, 1.5. Okay. And these are not going to come out exactly the right height.
Okay.
And that's because you're working with tiny pieces.
So
don't panic.
Okay.
You'll end up with pieces that maybe you're sticking out a little bit.
Okay, good to remember. Don't panic.
Don't panic. I tried to, when you sew these together, align the bottom edge. Okay. It says that right in the pattern, to align the bottom edge. And then after this is done, you'll trim your whole border
that makes sense.
to 5.5 inches.
Okay.
And that way you don't have to fuss so much about whether they're the right size. So I like to sew and then trim.
Yes.
So just make sure you start from this edge where you align the bottom edges.
Okay.
And then you'll come out right. So,
all right.
So you can see that I've got some that are taller. And honestly, just try not to cut that point off of your cute little house.
Okay, that's what
when you're sewing this piece on.
The goal is we have a 1/4 inch there, and that's what we are matching it up. Okay.
Okay, so that's the street.
Okay.
You've got your houses done. Wow. And like I said, all 4 borders are the same.
Okay.
So you'll sew a border on each side, or the top and bottom.
Okay.
And then you'll sew a border with the squares, the squares of background, the green squares.
Perfect.
On the sides.
Kind of your cornerstones
the corners.
Okay.
And sew those on. And then you're done with the quilt center, and you just need to add your borders.
Oh my goodness.
So there is a fun little detail in the borders that I want to go over now. So this cute little print that Lori designed is your background.
Okay.
For your border. Let's move that out of the way. And this is sewn on. And then I would get this border sewn on.
Okay.
Your black border sewn on and your red border sewn on, and then get it quilted.
Okay.
Because we're going to add a picot.
We're going to quilt it before we add the picot binding. Okay.
Well, your quilter will thank you. I mean, if you can add it before, but it'll drive her crazy.
Right.
Because it'll be in the way.
I get that.
Okay.
Yes.
So I will show you how to make these.
Yeah.
And then we'll add them. I'll pretend that the quilt is all quilted.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so all you need is a 3-inch square of your fabrics. And I've got the greens and any of the whites that they have red in them, but just to give me a good variety of color. And what you do is you take your square and fold it in half and then press it. So we'll just finger press it, but I'll send you to the ironing board in a second.
Okay.
You fold it in half diagonally and then fold in half again so that you have a folded edge and a folded edge and then one raw edge. Should have only one raw edge.
We're making a little triangle.
Go and make that triangle.
All right. So I'm over here at the ironing station and I'm going to fold from corner to corner and give a little press. And then the opposite way. So then, after your quilt is quilted, pretend the quilt is laying here toward me, and this is the border. Then I place my little prairie points or picot edges, whichever you want to call them,
along the edge. And I like to nest them inside each other. You can lay them right on top of each other like that, or you can nest them.
Okay,
Okay,
like
now
that.
keep in mind that you're going to have, if you put them like this, then you're going to take a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Yes.
so they'll be separated. So I nest them pretty good.
Okay.
So that they can even overlap.
Okay.
So, and the pattern calls for you to put 20 on each side. So I just alternated the greens with the whites.
Do you like to start in the middle and work out, or does it matter?
When you're placing them, the reason we do this after, another reason we do it after, is because the size of your quilt changes when you get it quilted, depending how densely your quilter quilts it.
That's true.
And so that's why this is kind of nice to have this extra play. So there is some play. So I would just kind of lay them out and measure and see where we are.
Okay.
And then you know kind of how much. And it probably doesn't have to be exact. You can just eyeball it.
Right.
So I'm going to just stick that inside there.
And then if you need to kind of finagle it a little bit, you can.
You can slide one in if you need to. I kind of started in the middle. That's a good idea. You want to be away from that edge. You don't want to overlap because you've got a seam allowance there.
Yes.
So these will come together like this in the corner.
Okay. So we do need to be about a 1/4 inch away from that corner.
Well, you can have your raw edges even.
Okay.
But you need to be able to keep in mind that you will be taking a 1/4 inch seam.
Okay.
And these will end up, as you can see on the sample, in the corners, they meet right together.
Okay.
And then just mess with them in the middle to make them slide together or to make them kind of even.
That is the nice thing about doing them one at a time rather than a strip prairie point.
Right.
Is because now you have a little more wiggle room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these will go like this.
I can see that.
And then we would do our binding.
Now, would you suggest that we do like a stay stitch or something just to hold it in place? A basting
or you could use a little
stitch
drop of glue to hold it there.
That's a good idea
but
too.
I did baste them.
Okay.
I based them just inside the 1/4 inch line.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about 1/8 of an inch.
So that they're stuck on there, and because you're going through your whole quilt sandwich.
Right. Yeah.
And then add your binding, and sew your binding on your top edge first.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the binding in your quilt is actually the cute little holly print on black, but I'm just to show you, I would have my binding just done traditionally where you would fold it in half.
Okay.
And then place it right on top of your quilt edge. You're going to sew right a 1/4 inch away and then roll that around to the back.
So this is one of those times where it is important that we do it from the front first and move to the back. Okay.
I think so. And you can still do it by machine if you want. So you can go to roll this to the back and stitch by machine if you want. I always like to stitch by hand. I like doing my bindings by hand.
I do too. Yes.
It's kind of relaxing. Just it's a non-thinking moment.
Right.
You can just
put on a good TV show and just enjoy.
It's a great thing to do when your husband picked a movie.
Yeah, that's right.
that you're watching that night. So anyway, this is the wrong fabric, but you get the idea. You're going to match up your raw edges and stitch right along there.
I love that.
And then your quilt is done.
Oh my goodness.
This little detail adds so much.
It really
adds
does.
a lot more color and print. And it's really fun to see that.
This is so doable.
Isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I whipped this up in a day. Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah.
I know you can do it.
Absolutely. I love this. This is a darling quilt. What is the finished size of this?
It's 45 by 45.
Okay. Yeah. So perfect
wall hanging. Wall hanging in your entryway when you're welcoming guests at Christmas time.
Oh,
really fun.
I could see it even as a table topper.
It could be, and I kind of designed it that way so that it was
no matter
symmetrical
where you're sitting,
from all sides.
Yes,
so that it would be a cute table topper.
I think it's darling. Oh my goodness. Have you learned so much today? I know I have. This has been so inspiring. I can't thank you enough, Jill.
Thank you
for doing this box for us. This is really...
I loved it. And I'm really happy to work with these delightful fabrics from Riley Blake.
Yes.
And I hope that you have a good time doing this. And don't be too mad about the pieces being so small. I apologize for that. When you get it done, you'll be something you can really be proud of.
Absolutely. And it is something to treasure for many years. It is absolutely a work of art. You've done a phenomenal job of designing this. So thank you so much. We are so giddy about this, and we can't wait to see the quilts that you will be creating with this box. Make sure and tag us in your photos on social media. Tag My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop. Also, be sure to tag Riley Blake Designs and
Jillily Studio.
Jillily
Tag
Studio.
me too.
Absolutely, because this just gets us so excited. Doesn't this get you excited for Christmas too?
Very much.
All the things.
Oh, and you know what? This pattern is an exclusive pattern I wrote
Yes.
just for My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop.
Thank you so much.
So if you see this video and you want the pattern,
Yeah.
you can't get it from me. You can't get it anywhere else. You come to Kris at My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop.
Oh, we are so honored.
Yeah.
So thank
Great.
you.
You
Thank
bet.
you so much, everyone. Happy sewing, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.